Let me paint you a picture. I wake up every single morning and I look around my room, the first thing obviously, and I am surrounded by books. There's books here, 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 here. The only place, oh actually over here also, my TBR cart, and the only place where I don't have books is my windowsill. And the way I keep buying books, I'm probably going to have books on my windowsill very soon. I think about all of the stories that I have read that are inside me and how they are outside me, and I look at the covers and the spines of all of these beautiful stories that are stored inside me that have made me who I am, and I feel grateful, happy, calm, at peace. Now let me paint you another picture. I wake up in the morning and all I see around me is books. Here, 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 and here with my TBR cart. The only place where I don't have books is my windowsill. And I think to myself, how did I get here? Why? Because I am in a reading slump and I cannot remember, for the love of me, why I love reading books. I cannot remember that feeling of wanting to buy a book, of wanting to read that book, of reading a book with excitement and getting excited about the characters and the scenery and fictional setups that will never happen in the real world. Taking something away from the book, making it part of me, making myself a part of that book, keeping that book in my shelf and sort of collecting all of these books. I don't remember all of that, and if I don't remember it, that means I'm not feeling it, and if I'm not feeling it now, have I never felt it? And if I never felt it, how am I surrounded by all of these books? That is the feeling I woke up with on an unfateful morning, and rest assured I panicked about it quite well. It was quite dramatic. I came to a conclusion that I am in a reading slump and I need to take a break, and so I have not read since the past 10 to 15 days. But after panicking and thinking about it obsessively and crying over it, I am now at a point where I want to get over it, and you are coming along with me on this journey. Reading slump can mean different things to different people. If you do not know what a reading slump is, it means not being able to read books even when you want to, or not being able to focus when you are reading. My reading slump means that I may get through a book and I will probably objectively still like it and appreciate it, and the story will be nice, but I'll just be like, meh. I won't really absorb the story. I won't really take anything away from it, firstly, and secondly, I will not want to jump up to the next book either straight away or even 2 to 3 days later. I will want to use my phone. I will want to watch a series that I have already watched. So it's not even like I'm consuming new content. It's basically not a good time not having that hunger, that appetite for reading that I long for every single day, that has resulted my room to look the way it looks. So I do already have a YouTube video where I share some tips to get out of the reading slump. So if you want to just get some tips and not go through the journey with me, I will link the video in the description. You can go check that out. But if you want to see the real life manifestation of those tips, because I will be applying exactly those tips in this video, then keep watching. I really hope you enjoy it. Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing very nice, and I'm sending a lot of hugs and positivity to all of you. Hi, if you're new, welcome to the channel. I really hope you enjoy the content. If you do, consider subscribing. Welcome to the club. We are starting today's video with the first book, which is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, and I am 150 pages into the book. It has taken me quite a few days to actually get through the first 60-70 pages to try and understand what is exactly going on. But as I have read ahead, I have just realized that what I thought in the beginning is going on is what is going on. So there's really not much to understand. Once that happened yesterday or on the weekend, I don't remember which day, I was actually able to get through like 100 pages in one sitting, which is a very nice thing to talk about or to say when you are in a reading slump. There's not much to say till now about the book. It is a story of Addie LaRue who really does not want something to happen, and she will do anything for that to not to happen, and so she prays, and then she gets granted a wish that you will live forever, but in return nobody will ever remember you. That is all I'll say, and apart from that, you don't even need to read the blurb. Just get into the book blind, because then the first 50-60 pages will actually be interesting for you. This book is divided into, I think, 6 or 7 parts, and by the time I got done with part 1, I was very intrigued because something really interesting happened. happened. People say that this book is a slow book, so I don't think that it's the best pick for me right now in the reading slump. But on the other hand, the way this book is making me feel, especially a character called Henry in the book, Henry just legit says things, or thinks things actually, because it's in the third person. He thinks things that are literally like taken from my brain and then written on paper. There's this part where he's trying to talk about being a morning person, and he says he's tried to be a morning person, and on the rare occasions he managed to get up before dawn. It was a thrill to watch the day begin, to feel, at least for a little while, like he was ahead instead of behind. But then a night would go long and a day would start late, and now he feels like there's no time at all, like he is always late for something. And literally nothing defines me better. If you have watched my vlogs at all, then you'll know that I sort of like struggle with waking up in the morning, like waking up early in the morning, because there's always something going wrong. And this is the exact feeling that I have every single day. This one thing has really attached me to Henry as soon as the character was introduced. But even apart from that, there are so many other things that have happened, and I love the character of Henry a little more than Addie LaRue till now. I just love it when a book is emotionally engaging. Emotional engagement is one of my biggest needs from a book. What just happened? Whoa, how is this happening? I'm so stressed right now because I really want to find out what exactly is going on. How is this happening? Page 186, 187, in case you have this edition of the book. How? I just love Henry. I just got to part 3. I really want to share with you what I just read and the intensity of what I just read. And honestly, I would just put a spoiler warning over here and just say it, you know, I would just say it. But even if I tell you what happened in that entire part, you won't understand how it feels because you have not read part 1 of the book and the later things that happen. Oh my god, like my skin is tingling right now, and I don't know, I really want to know what is going on. The way Henry described time is just the most relatable thing in the world. I don't think just for me, I think for our entire generation who is in their 20s and like early 20s right now, honestly. He's talking about time and he's like, I mean, feeling like it's surging by so fast, and you try to reach out and grab it, you try to hold on, but it just keeps rushing away, and every second there's a little less time, a little less air. And sometimes when I'm sitting still, I start to think about it, and when I think about it, I can't breathe. I have to get up, I have to move. This writing is gorgeous. I got done reading this book, and after that I did not read anything for I don't know how many days. I say a couple days, but I don't know exactly how many days. I actually thought that because this book was so amazing and it elicited so many feelings and emotions and reactions from within me, and honestly it had everything that I love in a book when it comes to loving books. Characters, the setting, the emotional part, the way it made me feel. Henry, oh my god, Henry. I still did not feel like picking up any other book because the feeling was that when I was reading this book, I had such a great experience that I completely forgot that I am in a reading slump. And then as soon as the book got over, I was like, ta-ta world, the reading world, I'm not coming back to you again. Wow, that was like the worst accent ever, but that's what happened. And so I have not read, but that is completely fine because you need to give yourself time and the space to not read. This was an amazing read. It is not a slow book at all. It was something happening on every other page. I think it only got slow in the past bits whenever we were going to the past, and I was feeling a little bit bored over there, which is why it's not a 5 or a 6-star read. And also the ending of the book, it was obviously amazing, but the ending, which I can't share much with you unfortunately because it's a non-spoiler vlog, the complete ending of the book, the last note at which it ends, that was like, I felt like it just completely shifted the tone and the voice of the book. It was going in a certain direction, and then the characters were behaving in a certain way, and I love it when a character has like a character arc. But there was no arc. I felt like the character went from here to here straight up, and I did not see how. It might be completely my problem, okay? Maybe I have not registered it well. I highly recommend this book. Even if you're a beginner, if you have read a few books and you want to read a sad book that moves you, then this book is amazing. The entire philosophy of wanting to be remembered, what it is like to be invisible, what it is like to be forgotten, it's all captured so beautifully. I loved it. I loved it. After reading The Life of Addie LaRue, I started reading The Catch by Amy Lee because I recently got it in the mail, and this is the third book in the influencer series, which has Set on You and X's and O's. And I have not completely read X's and O's, but I have finished reading Set on You around this time only last year in 2023, and it was such a fun time. The reason I picked it up was because I think it's really nice to pick up a genre like a rom-com or a thriller when you are in a reading slump, so that you are not reading something that is extremely heavy for your brain. You're not going into a world where there's just like too much information to take in. Plus, rom-coms have this certain predictability to them because you know that in the end everything is going to be fine. Like, everything is literally going to be fine, and I do want sort of read books that will make me feel like the world is beautiful. And so I started reading this book and I finished reading this book. It was an amazing book. It's like this great mix of two books I have read, which is, they're both my favorite. One is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, which is the story of opposites attract, where one of them is the captain and he goes out to the sea, and the female main character Pippa is a spoiled woman who goes to this small town. It's so nice. It's one of my most favorite Tessa Bailey books ever. So that is there in this because the setting is very similar, plus the guy is very similar to the captain. Very different but very similar. The difference is the main female character. She is not like Pippa because she's not spoiled. She's a fashion influencer, which is just so amazing. And the second book it's like is The Burnout by Sophie Kinsella, which is I loved that book so much. I did not rate it 5 stars last year, but now when I think about it, I'm like, maybe it was a 5-star book, you know? Like, why is it not a 5-star book? It actually is. That is the story of this woman who is facing a burnout, and so she takes a vacation and she goes to some other like summery place. The vibes I was getting from her personal like character, her personal life, is the vibe I got for the main female character in this book. So it was this beautiful mix of this really fun but also sort of deep but also real but also fictional, like in a beautiful way, rom-com, and I loved it so much. There's only one issue that I have with this book that I had also with Set on You, and I have not finished this, but I was having with this too, is that the characters in this book fell in love and I did not know how. The whole part where they are not in love and then the whole part when they are in love, it is literally beautiful. I can believe all of it, and it's not just physical attraction, and it's just amazing. There's emotional depth to it. It's beautiful, and I love the main guy character, by the way. He's literally amazing. There is always a bridge where two characters fall in love, and the bridge in this book where they have not yet fallen in love but they sort of like each other, that bridge is very small, which also happened in these books. So the transition from them not falling in love to falling in love is so short, or it's so invisible that I don't know, it's a little bit unbelievable that they have now fallen in love. I do highly recommend the books though. Now we're gonna pick up the next book for this video. I read a rom-com. I read a book that I would not normally read because I just wanted to tear myself out of a reading slump. Everything is going great, but I'm still not out of the reading slump, and I think that the only person who can actually take me out of the reading slump is TJR, Taylor Jenkins Reid, who is the author of 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Another great tip for a reading slump is reading books by an author that you know is literally the best, that has taken you out of a reading slump before, that you know you will love her work. And I have read 3 books of Taylor Jenkins Reid, and they have literally I have read 4 books, sorry, and the 3 of them have been 5-star, 6-star reads. For me, one of them has been like 4.5, 4.75 stars. So I think that she's a very trusted author. I think that she will actually get me out of a reading slump. And so I was thinking, I also have this book on my radar since a very long time, which is Daisy Jones and the Six. So I am thinking that today I have the whole day free. I mean, I don't actually have the whole day free, but I'm thinking of just sitting in my bed and cozying up with this book and see where it takes us. I don't really have high expectations from this book, but I've heard a lot of good things, so I do have high expectations. I don't know, but I am definitely excited to read, so let's go. Author note in this. Is this based on a real story? We love broken, beautiful people, and it doesn't get much more obviously broken and more classically beautiful than Daisy Jones. I'm already hooked. I'm hooked. I'm hooked to the book. I'm on page 4 and I'm hooked to the book. Ugh. 14 pages in. Oh, this is so cool. I am not a muse. I am the somebody. End of story. Iconic stuff. I'm on page 132 and all the characters have been introduced. So it's basically Daisy Jones is one character, and then we have and the Six, and the Six is a band, has 6 people in it. So this entire book is written in an interview style, and you get to see the dialogue and the inner thought. Not inner thought, but they're basically giving an interview because they have disbanded at the peak of their career. All the characters have been introduced by now, and I love all of the characters. They're all so interesting. It's really interesting to see what they have done. Now I'm at a point, I'm reading things about Billy and Daisy. You don't only look at them or any of the characters from only their own perspective, because everybody is giving the interview. They are also talking about how they were seeing the entire situation. So there are parts where when you are in the mind of the character, when they are the center of the scene, they are saying something else, and the characters who are around them, like the other members of the band, they are seeing something else because they are on the outside, they're not in their head, so they are seeing something way more clearly or way more realistically than the main character itself. And it's all Billy and Daisy. Eddie, on the other hand, is just hilarious. Oh, we're finally at Aurora. I keep listening, I keep hearing about Aurora all the time, especially when Daisy Jones and the Six, like the series came out, and oh, I've been dying to watch that series. The writing, I cannot believe that such simple, almost mundane words, like individually all of these words are so normal. They're all strung together to make these beautiful quote out of context line. I'm also going to change the gender so you don't understand anything at all. I felt like I understood them, and I think they understood me. You know, things like that kind of connection with a person. It is sort of like playing with fire, because it feels good to be understood. You feel in sync with a person. You feel like you're on a level that no one else is. 200 pages into the book, and you can see I have not moved an inch from the bed because I have to finish this book now. There is no way I can't read this book, and also because it's written in an interview style, I am just like getting through it so quickly, but I am taking so many pauses in the middle because, you know, quotes like this, there are like tons and tons and tons of quotes like this that I have to stop. Like, I can't believe I'm not making a spoiler vlog for this. Like, should I not? I don't know. But somebody's talking about how they did not feel like themselves. That voice, that was the beginning of a bad time where I was not myself. Actually, no, I don't like putting it that way. You're never not yourself. You're always you. It's just sometimes who you are is a shitty person. There's this part where Karen, one of the members, is joining the band, and all the other members in the team, like they're all guys, and they're like, oh, I just see her as a musician and a woman that as a person who plays really well, and music is a great equalizer and things like that. And then Karen goes ahead and says, men often think they deserve a sticker for treating women like people. They are very simple words, okay? There's no like, oh, it's so lyrical and it's so poetic, or there are no big words, but these simple words, these simple things just stringed together are making such powerful statements. I love it so much. I'm thinking I make a video where I'm reading this, Malibu Rising, and 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, all of them filled with spoilers. Like, what do you guys think? Should I do that? Because that will be iconic for me, because I'll get to just like say everything that I want to say. God. Too much has happened. Too much has happened. Till like 300 pages, I was like, from 200 to 300 pages, I was like, okay, you know, like it was a little slow because nothing was getting built up. But it was getting built up. This is where I feel that the characters in this book are just so like self-aware, because somebody is saying, I can't think of any two things that make you quite as self-absorbed as addiction and heartbreak. I had a selfish heart. I didn't care about anyone or anything but my own pain, my own need, my own aching. I'd have made anyone hurt if I could have taken some of mine away. It's just how sick I was. And even like the quote that I said earlier, that somebody said about how it's not that you're never not yourself, you're always yourself, only sometimes you're just a shitty person. These characters are so aware of just how shitty they are, and that's just so cool. Author, this is not a real band. What? I'm exhausted. Hi you guys, this is many days later and I have quite a few updates for you. Let us first start with the book that I finished last time I was vlogging, Daisy Jones and the Six. I have not stopped thinking about this book. I have not stopped thinking about these characters, and it has been many days now. Even then, sometimes like some quotes from the book just come in my mind randomly at night and I just get chills through my body because of just how real they are. The thing that stood out the most for me is just how self-aware these characters are, because it is written in an interview style and you see these people talk about what they have done in a retrospective manner, where they're like looking back at what they did. They get to actually judge themselves as characters, judge themselves as people and what they have done, and just the way they talk about themselves, how they were in the past and how self-aware they are, whether it is in a good way or a bad way. It is beautiful and it is emotionally haunting, because there are so many things that you look at in your past and sometimes you try to suppress what you actually did and how you actually felt, and then there are times when you're being brutally honest with yourself, and that brutality of that honesty that comes with looking back at your past self and understanding what you did and talking about it to someone, sort of confessing it to someone, that has been captured so beautifully in this book. And I just love these TJR concepts, which is about these rich people and these really famous people, but looking at the real dark, the gray side of them, and that is what I got from this book, and I loved it. I loved it so much. The only thing I do not like about this book is the cover of the book. Firstly, I really do want to give this book like a 5 or a 6-star rating because of how much it is staying with me, and maybe by the end of the year or something, like my thoughts will change and it will be a 5-star book. But for now it is not, because when I think about other books that I have read by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I know it's not fair to like compare the books, so it's not exactly comparatively, but even the books that I usually rate 5 or 6 stars, it's because it gives me a punch in the gut in a way that no other book has. And while this book does seem very original and authentic and just completely crazy and everything that I just said, I still do think that there is this gut punch that I wanted towards the end that I did not get from some of the characters. There's just tiny bit missing and I don't know what that is. I don't know how to explain it. But then I watched the entire series Daisy Jones and the Six, which is available on Prime if you want to watch it, and the ending of that series was sort of the gut punch that I think that if it was there in this book in a different manner, but if it was there in this book, it would have been more effective, which is crazy. I mean, I still think that the book is way better than the series, but the series is not bad at all. The casting of all of the characters in that series is insanely amazing. The actor who plays Billy is the actor who played Bill in Me Before You, which I always thought of him that way, and he fit that role so perfectly. And then he acted acted as Billy, and he fits that role so perfectly. He's like the best actor ever, but now I don't know how else to see him except Billy. I loved Daisy in the cast too. I loved the entire cast. The only person who I thought would be a little different was Warren. I genuinely did not know how to move on from this because of the strong hold that the characters had on me. It does remind me of how much I love reading, why I love reading, because the main reason I read is because of these characters. Like, I just love reading about good characters, and not like good characters, they can be bad people too, but I just love reading rich characters, and so this was the perfect pick. But on the other hand, the thing is, I don't know how to move on from this. Now I don't know if I will get any book that is as real or as good as this one, and while it was an amazing book within itself, that hunger that I need to read more books, I was still not feeling it. This is a once in a lifetime experience. It's unique and I can never replicate it. Like, I can't replicate the feelings that I had when I was reading this book, and so that sort of makes me not want to pick up another book. I actually thought of picking up another book the very next day or the day when I finished Daisy Jones and the Six, but then I have not been able to. I got this book in the mail, I think on that weekend or something, like right after finishing Daisy Jones and the Six, and I love reading books as soon as I get them, especially when I'm in a reading slump, and you know, you get a new book and you tear it open and it's such an exciting feeling. And so I opened it and I started reading it, and oh my god, this book is beautiful. It is literally beautiful, but I knew that I am not able to absorb it the way I absorb books when I am not in a reading slump, and so I had to DNF it for some time. I really want to read this book when I genuinely want to read and experience good literature, because the way this book has been written, even like from the start, the concept, everything is so gripping. Then I tried to read Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, which is a duology, and I have both the books, and it is fantasy romance, and I think enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers, something like that. I love this line, no god, no war can come between them. It is so beautiful. The book cover is so beautiful, and I am literally dying to read these books. I swear to god, I am dying to read both these books. Like, I want to get done with the duology. This Powerless Fourth Wing, they were like the best enemies to lover books in 2023, so I'm like literally dying to read this book, but I was not able to get into it. I read 50 pages and I was not able to get into it, so I had to DNF this. I did read The Alchemist after that, because I thought if I reread a 5-star book, a book that I have already loved, that will bring my hunger, my appetite back for reading, but that also did not do it. And then I read The 7 Year Slip. This one I binged it. There were so many reasons why I picked it up. One, it is a new book, I recently bought it. It's a romance, and 4, it's not a rom-com, I think it's contemporary romance, and 5, it is by the author of Dead Romantics, and I loved Dead Romantics so much. And so I read it, and look at all of those annotations, if you can see it. It was such a beautiful book, you guys. I love it so much. I love it from the bottom of my heart. There are so many quotations, and it's the best romance book ever. I'm telling you, I think this whole year, this is the best romance book that I have read. So if you are thinking whether you should read this book or not, you should. It is the story of this apartment that travels in time, and it only travels 7 years. So when this woman Clementine lives in that apartment, and that apartment is her aunt's, she goes to find this guy in the apartment who actually lived over there 7 years ago. Magic system and all of that is not huge in it, and it's not complicated at all, so don't go into it thinking that, oh, there's time travel and it'll be sci-fi or whatever. No, I have started loving reading books that have romance and time travel in it, where the time travel is not very complicated for me to understand, because romance throughout different times and the past and the present, and you're just like in every life, I love you. I love that stuff, and this was done so beautifully. So I DNF'd 2 books and I read 2 books, and you must be thinking, oh Anchal, you read 2 books after that, you must be feeling like you're out of the slump. No, I'm not. I feel like mainly the slump for me is having that hunger and that appetite to read. You know, I want to read and feel inspired. I want to read and see the beauty in all the darkness in the world. I want to read and feel like that intensity, and I don't feel it. It's literally been almost a month or a completed month, and I'm still not out of the slump. And I know that you must be like, oh, what do you mean you've read so many books? I have read like 6 books in a month, 4 or 5, yeah. I have read 5 books in a month, and that, it's not about the number at all. It's not like, oh, how many books you can read. No, the point is that's not how much I read, and it wouldn't be a problem, except reading is literally the source of my pleasure. It makes me who I am. I love it so much. That is how I see the beauty in everything. That is what makes me want to wake up in the morning, and then when you wake up and you don't have the desire to read something, it just sucks. So I've just been picking up books and DNFing them or rereading old books, just trying to spark something inside me. And then suddenly in the morning, this package comes. This is the package, and it's from Penguin. And I'm like, I have not requested for any books at all, because I have not been requesting books from anybody currently, no authors, no publishing houses, because I'm not able to read. I'm in a reading slump. If I get books from them, I'm not going to be reading them and reviewing them. So then I'm like, what is this package then? Like, what is this package? And it's already open because I just couldn't control myself. But you guys, I think this package has the power to actually get me out of a reading slump. I really want that feeling of being so hungry for a book that I can't wait to go to bed. But nowadays, I don't have that hunger at all. I don't have the appetite for reading at all. And every day, even if I do pick up a book, I read a few pages and I just can't stop myself. Like, I have to watch a series because I don't know what to do. Like, I don't feel like reading, right? And then this package came today and I was like, I can't wait to read tonight. I cannot wait to read tonight. And the package is two total opposites, the wrong thing in common. It's kind of a funny story. It is the ARC, the advanced reviewing copy of Funny Story by Emily Henry, which is coming out in April 2024. I think it will come out by the end of April, and this is one of my most anticipated releases for 2024, and I am so Happy Place was one of the 6-star reads of 2023. Book Lovers was one of the 6-star reads of 2022. So 2 years in a row, I've had a 6-star read of Emily Henry, and it has literally been life-changing. Nora from Book Lovers and Harriet from Happy Place, they live inside me because they were the most relatable characters ever, and the way it was written, it was just so beautiful, and the romance, it was so good. And this one is a very complicated story where these two people, they break up with their respective fiance and like their partners, and then those two people who they have broken up with get together to get married, and these are the people who broke up, and they are just both devastated, and then they start talking to each other, and then it's kind of a funny story. And I love this ARC. Just look at that. It is so amazing. It has this. Description of a place where Miles and Daphne go, and that is reminding me of the secret place I went to in Goa, which was the best experience of my life. It is exactly like that. The banter in this book is glorious. Like in Happy Place, we had 6 friends. They were like a group of 6 people, and so there were so many people to listen to talking to each other. But till now in this book, we only have the 2 main characters talking to each other, Miles and Daphne. I mean, obviously there are their exes also, but they are not very significant. And so the banter, like their conversations, it is uninterrupted, and it is amazing. It is so, it's just written in a way that I can just feel it. I can feel like real people actually talk like this. Okay, I'm like 100 pages into the book. My pencil is there inside this book, and the pencil is now blunt because I have underlined so much in this book. The quotes about books, the conversations these people have, and it will be about the most mundane, normal things ever, and it will still be so interesting. I am 100 pages into the book. I feel like Emily Henry, her books till now, the record including this book has been, it takes tropes that I am not the biggest fans of, like they're not my most favorite tropes ever, and then she turns it into tropes that are just done so well that they just feel so real that yeah, this can actually happen. For example, in Happy Place, there were tropes of second chance romance and miscommunication. Miscommunication is like my least favorite trope ever, and second chance romance is an okay thing, and it was done so well and I loved it. I loved Book Lovers because it had grumpy trope in it, and I loved that so much. And now this book has the fake dating trope till now, and I love it. It's very hard for me to believe it when they're faking it or when then it turns into something real. It's easygoing, it's so chill, there's nothing crazy happening, but at the same time it feels real and you feel things even though you have not really been through those things. And I love that kind of writing. I think it's the best when you're in a reading slump, because when you get into like deep worlds where it's too much to take in, when you're in a slump you don't feel like going back to the book. But because this book is so easygoing, I actually feel like going back to the book. I'm actually going to take a pause over here and then I'm going to get back to reading at night, and it will be a test at night if I feel like going back to this book or not. I think I will. Hi you guys, it's the next day and I am almost 200 pages into the book. I read like 100 pages last night. This book has 400 pages and I did not realize when I finished reading 100 pages the number of like underlining and everything that I have done in this book, the quotations. It is so good. I actually feel like reading some of the quotes in the video so you guys know what I'm talking about. Daphne actually works in a library, so yes, there are so many quotes about Daphne loving books and what it does to her and how it has been her savior since childhood. Hello, same, not since childhood, but you know what I mean. And all of that is going on. She's in the library and they are talking about something, and then there's this quote where the person that she works with in the library, he says, his name is Harvey, he says, it's a library, Daphne. If you can't be a human here, where can you? The fake dating is top notch, but the one thing that is really attaching me to this book in another way is how Daphne and Miles are like 30+ years old. Throughout this book you see them, how they were like into their settled roles of what it would be like in their 30s, and they were like about to achieve everything that they wanted and what basically an adult life should look like, and then everything was uprooted. And you also see the journey of Daphne trying to embrace what it is like to be an adult at 33, not in a sense where you're completing all of your responsibilities and things like that, but also who you are as an adult, being your best friend as an adult, making new friends as an adult, falling in love with this new version of yourself when you're an adult, and especially when life does not go the way you thought it would. And I know for a fact that every single person in the world has gone through this. I'm in my 20s, and when I was a teenager I felt like, oh, it's the end of the world, oh my god, what will happen now? And I still don't know what it will be like in my 30s, but reading this book makes me feel like I have so much more time to just sort of like settle down and understand what my life should look like. Like, it does not have to be concrete. They're in their 30s and it's not concrete for them. I think even when you're in your 40s, it doesn't have to be concrete. The fact that you can reinvent yourself and be this new person and fall in love with yourself all over again, how difficult it is, like how hurtful and awkward it can be, but at the same time how exciting and how beautiful the journey can be. It is all captured so beautifully in this book, and that is the most comforting part. I am halfway through the book. I am going to read the other half of the book now, and I'm going to finish it today because I just cannot stop. And you know what that means? It means that my hunger is coming back to read a book. Miles. Such a good character. He's like so upfront, especially with communication. I love it. I just love it when characters are upfront with communication. Especially guys, they're not like, oh, it's okay if you said that. No, like if you mean something, if something is hurting you, say it. You know, you can say it, you can express it in a polite kind way, but like express it. I want to know what is hurting you so that I don't repeat it. Why is it this? No, this cannot be happening. I'm gonna cry right now. I'm literally gonna cry right now. Done with funny story, and it's not a 5-star. Let me say that first. But I'm out of the reading slump for sure, and I'll tell you how. This was the perfect blend of a book that I just got, and I was like so surprised by it, and it was like nowhere on my radar. I mean, it was on my radar. I really wanted to read it, but I did not, like, for the love of me, know that I'm going to get it. So thanks to Penguin for sending me this ARC. Like, I am so grateful, and that surprise factor really added to me loving reading this book. Secondly, it's an Emily Henry book, an author I already love. Thirdly, it is the romance genre, but not a rom-com. So I think that when I am in a reading slump, I do want to read romance, but not a romance comedy. It is not a book like Daisy Jones and the Six, where I am so affected by the characters in a, I don't know how to explain it, like in a different way, that I don't stop thinking about them. Like, I will not stop thinking about these characters because I loved the characters of this book, but in a very pleasant manner. I feel like the characters in Daisy Jones and the Six, I think about them obsessively, and I think about them with so much, what is the right word for the feeling, like pity, but also love, but also like just like as human beings, you know. But these books, these characters, I look at them as like, oh, these really beautiful, amazing characters. So it does not have a grip on me like Daisy Jones and the Six does, and so I do want to move on from the book and I want to read something else. And it showed me all of these different aspects of being human being. It made me feel, it made me see how beautiful the world can be, because the setting in this book is just so beautiful. It's funny, it's hilarious, it was light, but it was also very heavy. It was literally the perfect concoction of everything that I needed to get out of a reading slump. And so thanks to this book, I am out of the reading slump. But you may be thinking that, Anchal, if this book has gotten you out of a reading slump, then why aren't you giving it a 5-star or a 6-star rating? That is because, one, there were certain parts in the book which I felt like Emily Henry did not write it. The whole book has a certain vibe, and then there would be these certain parts that just did not fit in, or it did not make sense to me personally why it would be there. And as I said, fake dating as a trope, it has to be done way too well for me to be like, oh my god, I love it. And I did love it, just very tiny parts here and there. That is also not the major thing. I would completely overlook that. But in the end, the third act conflict, I feel like that was completely unnecessary, or something else should have been done. The reason Happy Place was a 5-star, 6-star read for me is because, yes, there is conflict, but it is all so valid. Like, obviously that would happen in that book, but the things that have happened in this book, I'm just like, did that really have to happen? Really, you know, I know, you know, it just did not fit with the story at all. It was very unnecessary, and then it was wrapped up in a very fast manner to just like get done with it. And so it's not like a 5-6-star read, but it is very close to a 5-star for me. It is one of the best books definitely that I have read this year. Like, so many pencil marks in this. I don't know if I will annotate this or if I will get a final copy also once it is released and then annotate that one, but it's definitely an annotate worthy book too. It has themes of romance, of self-realizations, growth, love for a book, a beautiful, perfect book. And now, after like a month, 1 month or 1.5 months, I am finally out of the reading slump. I'm already starting a new book tonight itself. Let's hope it is an amazing book, and I am 100% sure I am out of the reading slump now. I feel like I was getting into mini slumps, and then I was getting out, getting in, getting out, but taking this 1.5 month time to actually give myself the space to not read when I did not want to, watch series when I wanted to, read when I wanted to, read whatever I wanted, do mood reading, reread books. All of these things together really helped me to come out of it completely, and now I am so hungry to read. So get ready for more videos. I'll see you guys again very soon.